So for coding in our overloaded operator, we've got quite a few things to talk about. First, the overall structure of the function, and then we talk about the overall placement. But there is another option, and that is one that's built physically into the class. Now notice, by the way, this is a totally different function. This is overloading the double equals operator, so we're going to be doing some comparison between two my class complex objects. Now again, you're looking at two going, wait a minute, I only have one in here, and I'll explain that here in a second. So this is a very different setup. This setup, you will have access to private data members and functions. So there is two setups, but notice the overall footprint of the object, of the function itself is very similar. But again, the theory of why you're doing which one is up to your design. I wanted to show specifically how the double equals is going to work, because that one looks odd compared to maybe the plus one. Using this implicit version of the function here, and I'll go over implicit y here in a second, is that the overall setup is going to be code-wise is here. And here's the interesting part about this whole thing, is that if we do a comparison of two objects, of a complex objects of my class of A compared to B, that double equals is usually for the simple data types, string, integer, string, float, double, that type of thing. But now we're comparing two objects. What is it really going to mean when you compare two objects? How do I compare two students? There's all going to be design issues and thoughts that you need to have behind the scenes. But the code is going to be pretty similar to what we have right here. So the interesting part is the physical layout of this statement. A is on the left-hand side, equals, and then B on the right-hand side. So you're wondering, well, B is coming from here. Where is A coming from? And that's actually the my class portion that we had in front. And that's going to use the my attribute, which is coming from my class here. Then they're double equaling the B side to see what it's comparing to. So that's the interesting and weird part about it too. Now also notice that this is going to return a Boolean, which makes sense. If you're comparing two items, it's either going to be true or false. The last part of this is actually looking at, we have to look at every single attribute in your design on if a student is, if our object is comparable, that they're equal to. So that's the attributes. That's the single attributes of whatever it could be, by name, by GPA, by whatever you want. That's your design issue on how you want to really decide if they are equal or not. So that's the first setup using implicit. But this second one is using the explicit, that you're putting this in front of it. And remember, this meant this object compared to the other object that I'm passing in. This is going to help us kind of maybe clarify what we want. This exact same code except for this portion. This just might clarify what exactly it is doing. There's no other changes other than that. So that is a setup for your doubly equals if you're overloading it for complex objects.